Welcome. Salutations. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Mike. I'm the MC in this room, so if you have any questions during the break time, let me know. I also talk too fast. I felt it immediately. So again, my name is Mike. I use he, him pronouns. Thank you all so much for being here. If you have any questions, I'll be hanging around on the side in the back. Thank you so much for coming to this session. We're here for the What is Your Apple Fleet Worth to You? This is going to be a presentation about an integration with Diamond Assets. Diamond Assets is one of our wonderful partners. They're one of the sponsors for this incredible event. And they're here, and they've invited one of our shared partners to talk about their experience with this integration. So without further ado, please welcome Amanda Coons, the technology facilitator with Millard Public Schools, and Matt and everyone on the Diamond Asset team.
Good morning. My name's Amanda Coons from Millard, like you said. I have been working at Millard for 20 plus years. My role in the district, I'm the lead Mac admin. We have about 16,000 devices that we manage. Our district is a little bit unique. Of course, we all think ours is unique. But our district, it's half Windows, half Mac. So in the elementary realm, preschool through 5th grade, we're Mac. And in the secondary, 6th grade through 12th grade, we are Windows machines. That puts us at a constant competition with our Windows partners at our secondary levels. So we really have to compete to keep our services and our price points lean in our district. We have to constantly compete to see who spends less in the budget, but who maximizes education, teaching, and learning more. So it's a delicate balance for sure, and it puts a lot of stress on our teams. Looking at my team, I'm a team of 5. I have 4 technicians that work out in the field, and my responsibilities go everything from device configuration, training, let's say procurement, end of life, life cycle on our devices, and then my field technicians do the break fix. Our secondary side, we have 10 technicians to handle that, and then 1 leader, 1 Windows admin that facilitates that project. So the cards were already stacked against us in terms of volume of devices and travel and stuff like that. So for years, as I worked with Millard, we always had the issue where we had to get rid of the old. Most of the focus was always bringing in the new hardware, trying to get it set up and configured and deployed. That's always been the focus. Our old practices to get rid of our equipment was to, for a while, we would auction off because we're a public school district. So when we would auction those materials, we would have situations where people would come up with their truck and they would bid on the pallet and they'd pick off the devices that they wanted to reuse, and they'd leave the parking lot and they'd leave the rest of the equipment for us. Whether it was workable or not, they just picked and choose what they wanted. We had other situations where schools would buy the stuff and then put it back in the classroom. That was fun. Couldn't get really rid of the stuff. We tried hiring a contractor that would come on site and sell our equipment through eBay. That was a very interesting experience. We found that we would sit on pallets and pallets of equipment as this person kept trying to maximize the selling on this device. What would happen, we would have shelf rot. So we would have really good equipment rotting in our warehouse, just never actually getting back out to the individuals, and we just lost all that value over time. So eBay, I won't say his name. So the eBay guy, it rhymed, it was cute. We got rid of him after we proved that we could just do it ourselves. So on our team, we have a habit of we can do it better, we'll just take it over ourselves. And so we started looking at different reseller options, and we landed on Diamond Assets, which was a great year for this because we had thousands of iMacs to get rid of, distributed over 25 buildings. So we called Diamond in, and they really helped really clean up our end-of-life process, and they took something that was just this horrible issue that we just always had to deal with and and just suffer with. And it became like, oh, we can streamline this process and we have a lot of benefits from it. So they really helped us with our end-of-life processes. And to give you some of the idea of the benefit that we experienced from them, we have this huge warehouse, but unfortunately in the school district, like they keep everything. And we have kind of a cranky warehouse manager. So we actually cleared up pallets and pallets of just old hardware, of just equipment that we actually got money back for. And it wasn't going out to scrap, it was going out to Diamond, and people were reusing it. So that was a win for us, to not having to be bogged down with all of our end-of-life materials. And when I say not bogged down, I'm saying like within a week of it coming into our warehouse, if we coordinate it right, it goes right back out. So we just have this really good cycle of getting our hardware back out and through. That helps us maximize the value of our hardware. So when we're working on our purchasing plans, and I love it when companies talk purchasing plans, it's like they know, like, let's say you're going to go buy 4,000 iPads. Like, they think we're always going to buy 4,000 iPads, like we're always going to roll it in like that. Well, we're not, because our standards change, our requirements change, our class sizes change. So it's kind of variable. There's some times that you can afford to switch out that hardware. There's times that we're not. Kind of depends what the district gives you in budget that year, which kind of maybe is given to you once the school year starts. So what Diamond allows us to do is kind of like that ace in the hole. When we go and do our planning for our purchasing, like, we now can put that information that we get from Diamond to help offset and buy down some of that cost. It allows us to do projects that we haven't been able to facilitate before, which for us keeps us ahead of our Windows teams. Actually, that iMac resale project that I mentioned that was dispersed between 25 buildings, some of the funds that came in from that project helped us install over 860 Apple TVs throughout all of our buildings, which had a profound impact on the instruction and how it was facilitated in the classroom. So you would think that, end-of-life processes doesn't really affect the classroom much, but it has revolutionized, and we say we untethered our classroom that year. We killed all our smart boards, we brought in our Apple TVs, and if it wasn't for Diamond, we wouldn't have been able to facilitate that project at all. So they really just help us maximize our value of that equipment. The other thing it did was, so I'm a little bit competitive. I found out that if you want a June resale, like, you kind of have to like get on the calendar pretty quick. But then I found out that you might not maximize your dollar if you turn it in the month of June, because everybody's turning in the month of June. Like, if you turn it in sooner, you'll get more money, right? So more money means more availability and budget to do other projects. So then we started looking at changing up when we did product refreshes, which for my team, for the dawn of time, we always did it the same way. We did all our projects on spring break, winter break, and summer break, to the point that I have a ton of vacation, but you never could use it, and you never were spending time with your family, because we would load all of our projects during the same time of year. Like, every winter break, instead of going on nice holidays and spending it with the family, the IT staff were sludging around hardware. And it was really kind of ridiculous. Staff were coming back in from holiday breaks and ended up like, oh, we have new equipment? Like, I didn't read the email, I was on vacation. So we realized that doing these hardware transitions during the off season really didn't help our end users very much, and actually hurt us in terms of the resale value on the devices. So what we did was, now whenever we get a volume of hardware, we work with Diamond to get that equipment traded out, and it can happen anytime throughout the year. What I really like is when we marry it to Apple's discounting their quarterlies, where they will be like, hey, flash sale on MacBook Airs. So when we really can balance those two and leverage the better pricing from Diamond and what we can get in discounts from Apple Education, it really helps us, again, maximize our dollar and stretch out what we can do. The other part of that, since we're switching it during different times of year, we have more help in the buildings, education. They're just, You can grab a pair in the hallway or the custodian. They're willing to just assist and help. So it actually helped maximize my team of 5. So we weren't actually having to do all that heavy lift. In the summertime, custodians aren't going to help you move stuff. They have floors to clean and everything else. So it helped us use people a little bit differently. And we also got some more buy-in and street cred in the building because they actually saw us working on their stuff and they saw how hard we worked. And that all came off the project life cycle or the hardware life cycle. Had we not changed that, we never would have seen the other impact down the line in our district. And so what I constantly, my boss likes to challenge me and say, well, okay, we've done Diamond for a couple of years. This just happened. Our Windows team, they're doing X, Y, and Z. I want you to go see what else is on the market. And just drag my feet because I'm like, I don't have time to research anybody else. I don't have time to look at other processes. I mean, I have a great process that works. Why refine it? Why reinvent the wheel? So when we do go around and we do look, what we find is a lack of transparency of what other vendors can really give us. What I like about what Diamond does is this, the asset report at the end after they trade it in. They'll say this serial number was graded as, A, B, C, D, E, F, and this was the value that you received on it. And then again, because I'm really competitive, they'll knock you if you didn't do the DEP piece or something like that. And every year I try to get that zeroed out, but I get it. Whenever I see that, I know I have a process that I need to refine on my end to make sure when it goes off to them, again, we maximize our value. Let me think. So anyway, that price listing gives us that transparency to throw it back down to my director of IT and say, well, this is the value that we received from all of this equipment. When you turned in that other hardware models, what did you get per device? And they're not able to have that conversation. They usually do it in a bulk trade-in, this is your overall dollar amount. It's not really broken out for us. And then we could technically seed it and say, well, hey, I know that serial number went off. It was a really good value. Verify that you guys actually processed it the way we needed it to be processed and give us the right value. So we have that transparency. The fact that I can call in and I can get a quote from Diamond turned around very quickly, so I can continue having those budget conversations with my boss and say, hey, I can afford, actually, this is the exact case scenario, I can afford to switch second grade to one-to-one iPads. If we facilitate the trade-in of this hardware now, we'll actually get in cycles so we can keep purchasing, and it works if we do it within this window. So I couldn't have those conversations before without having the data coming out of them, and then to trust the fact that they're actually going to fulfill and do what we ask them to. So some of the things that they do for us when they come in, they've done these large switch outs for us. We did, a couple thousand machines in between 25 buildings in less than 2 days. So they were able to knock that out, and they actually tread our assets better technically than maybe we did. We just lined them up in a row, or we stacked the iPads all in one stack. They come in and they make sure everything's cushion wrapped. They have special packaging. And so sometimes that doesn't work for us. Sometimes as we start collecting hardware, we'll just say, you know what, we've got a pallet of stuff, we're just gonna reach out. And sometimes they just let us self-box, where they just send us the empty boxes and we just fill them when we have time and check them on back. It's a great process for us to have, and it's a great company to work with. Like you said, I really trust working with them, and they really refined and helped us look at our processes different within our district. So, okay.
Join me in thanking Amanda for making the trip here. Thanks, Amanda. So as Matt and Amanda mentioned, I'm Charles Doherty. I manage sourcing for Diamond assets across the western half of the United States. And like many of my colleagues, I actually came from Apple. I served as a K-12 development executive for about 3 years, working with school leadership teams in supporting their efforts to implement Apple hardware and software. Prior to that, I was a tech director, and years before that, I was a teacher. So I've been a part of the Apple ecosystem for a number of years. And one thing that's unique about us is our team is comprised of many former and current Apple customers, Apple employees, school leaders, and now we focus in on sourcing and making sure that just because the equipment that we are purchasing from you is end of life in your environment, we're able to carry that forward instead of those devices ending up in a landfill. So one thing I want to touch on, you heard a firsthand account from Amanda about the K-12 solution, but our solutions extend into our enterprise partnerships. Now, you heard her reference picking up equipment from 25 different buildings. So has anyone ever done a deployment to multiple locations? Okay, I see a number of hands out there. Easy or difficult? Some of this, some of that? Okay. So what we do is the reverse of those deployments. We take a look at where things are located, where buildings are located, how much product is in each of those places, and then we map out a plan for you through our logistics team to go out and pick those devices up. Now, in an ideal situation, you've got all the devices comprised in one place for a single location pickup. The reason that that's typically important is so that you can get in there quickly, we can package everything up, and it saves the time of your people as well as our people in getting that equipment out of there. But for more complex structures, like multi-location pickups, we can design a plan for you. And you'll see here customized services such as tailored reverse logistics. We structured a buyback recently of over 2,600 locations across the United States. Okay, so you can imagine the time and effort and energy that went into that. But I share that with you so that you understand the scale at which we can operate to help your organization succeed in providing the best end user experience, much like you heard in the keynote this morning. As we secure devices and take them through the chain of custody, as we pick them up or as they're shipped to us upon receiving, we're going through and making sure that data security is top of mind, ensuring your privacy through the process, and helping you to remain secure in the sense that your equipment is well taken care of and no data is ever passed on from there. Now, we often get the question, is there a limit to the number of devices that you will take from a school or from a business or a nonprofit or government? The answer really is no. There's not a limit. There's not a minimum amount other than one, and potentially up to 500,000 units that we could pick up. Now, we've done structures in the past where 50,000 units over the course of a couple weeks. We have logistics available to make sure that the pickup of your equipment is done in an efficient manner so that you can move on with the exciting part of your new deployment, and that's getting all the equipment out there into the hands of your end users. So as we think about qualities for success, Amanda mentioned a keyword I want to hone in on here, trust. So with this process, when you select a partner to handle your buyback component of your refresh, you want to make sure that, first of all, they're telling you the truth. Second of all, they're able to follow through on payment. And third of all, that they have a transparent process that you can believe in so that the company that you're working with will see this through from start to finish. There is a lot of trust involved in this process to make sure that you are getting the best pricing, to make sure that your data is secure, your privacy is intact, and that the reporting that you receive is accurate. So as Amanda mentioned, at the end of our process, we have what's called a reconciliation report. You've got a serial number along with a bunch of information about each individual device, the grading notes, the grade, the assessed value, and all of that's compiled in a report for future auditing purposes on your end so that you have that as a reference moving forward. Another key piece of what we do is mapping out sustainability plans. So as Amanda mentioned, and this is true across enterprise as well as schools, timing your refresh is critical to maximize your value. So in the school setting, the traditional time frame is summer. So you've got June, July, and August. Well, what happens in June, July, and August? If everyone's trying to get those projects done during that time frame, you have the market that floods, which means that's going to drive pricing down over that period of time. So the organizations that have realized that moving outside of that quarter of the year into other times of year, they're able to maximize their refresh and get the most dollars for their equipment. So what I'd like to close with is, as Matt mentioned earlier, we've been at this for over 5 years at this point. We've found a lot of great success. We've built a lot of amazing partnerships with schools, with enterprise customers, with Jamf, with a number of organizations. And I couldn't be more proud to be a part of the team that I am today. So with that, I'm going to have Jeremy. Jeremy Egger is going to come up. He is our CIO, and we're going to have Sam Weiss come up. And Sam is the Solution Partner Manager at Jamf.
Thanks, Charles.
Thank you.
Does this work? It does. We're going to have to fight over this mic. I think part of the reason why is we're pretty excited about what we want to announce today, and that is really a partnership and problem solving. We're going to announce Clarity today. And what Clarity is it's an opportunity to look at problem solving within your organizations. There's a lot of great data that Jamf collects on all of your devices, and there's a lot of great market information that we have at Diamond Assets. The idea is to combine both of those things together to give you information to make good decisions about when you're going to do trade-in and how you see the value of your fleet. So I'm going to have everybody do a little exercise here, and there's not a ton of you in the room. How many people have devices here that are older than 3 years? Would you stand up? Everybody needs a little exercise today. Okay, how many of you would like to get rid of all those devices and have new devices? Keep standing. I think most of you would want to do that. So one of the things that we want to talk about is, I think, the problems that we see on our end at Diamond Assets and some of the data that we have coming from Jamf. So as a customer, one of the things that you're probably trying to figure out is, how old is my equipment? What type of operating system will actually run on my devices? I know that Apple seems to be putting out a new iPad every year, or somewhere around there. And of course, the Mac cycle keeps increasing as well. We want to take a look at when's the optimal time to actually do a refresh. And that's different for every device. And as Apple releases new devices, that changes the metric on how we look at those things. And so one of the things that we've done at Diamond Assets is build this product called Clarity to actually run all of the information that we get from you, from Jamf, into that system. And we collect and analyze that information and give it back to you with some augmented information. So we're going to give you when the device was introduced, so you can calculate age. We're going to give you what operating system will actually run on that device, the most current. We're going to give you things like a refresh statement, which will basically create a window of opportunity for you to understand when the best time to refresh is. So you'll see a statement, a refresh statement actually, that'll say, do you want to trade in 6 months, 3 months, a year, so on and so forth. So you can create smart groups around that information so that you can do reporting. And we all know what a struggle it is in terms of trying to convince superiors, CIOs, so on and so forth, that we need new equipment. But there's so much value in your Apple products that you want to keep a pulse on that. So with Clarity, it's really about continual assistance. The idea is when you submit information through Jamf, you can send it anytime you want. So if you want to get an analysis every 6 months, you can do that. That gives you historical perspective on your equipment. It lets you understand when you can do a trade-in and when you're going to get the most money for that equipment. So, Sam, anything you want to add?
Yeah, a few things. And hello, everyone. My name is Sam. I'm a Solution Partner Program Manager here at Jamf. And my job is to work with organizations that make the most of Jamf managed deployments. So over our time, previous to this, I was an AE at Jamf working primarily with schools. And some of the things that we found is even if organizations found a fantastic buyback partner like Diamond Assets, there were still lots of question marks. And one of the biggest question marks is, well, what do I have? And that can be a really hard conversation to have because it's not just the number of devices and it's not just the number of Macs. It's which Macs have 2 cores versus 4 cores versus solid states versus hard drives. And all of that data that Jamf collects can really help provide a powerful buyback experience with Diamond Assets. But what we found is there was no great standard way to get that information to a refresh partner. So beyond that very first, well, what do I have today? The following conversation, especially when we talk to Diamond about maximizing that refresh value is, well, it doesn't matter what I have right now. I want to refresh devices 3 months from now. So what will I have 3 months from now? And then even further to that, what we've created together is a process where Jamf Pro will either automatically or on the push of a button send your data to Diamond Assets along with data privacy policies and all that. It's all very secure, but it's a really great way for Diamond to take that data. For those of you that are in Jamf Pro today, what we're doing is we're creating an inventory CSV upload, and you're able to put that directly into Jamf Pro and start pre-filling things like maximum operating system support, release date, and that buyback statements that we were talking about.
I think one of the hardest things for people to, on the management side anyway, is deciphering what that Apple order number is, which is different than a model number. Apple has this specific SKU that's used for when you purchase a device. So when you're managing your Jamf instance and you look at devices, you don't see what was actually ordered. And so what we're doing is we're turning all of that data into an Apple order number, which is how the market indicates what your equipment is actually worth. So it's a very simplified process on our end and your end to get that information.
And the other nice thing is, for those of you, again, proficient in Jamf Pro, there's really great things you can do with smart groups. Like, how great would it be to deploy and erase and install operating system only to devices that we've decided need to be sold now? So there's lots of great flexibility, either through that or through self-service notifications, to let end users know our company has an opportunity to retain value on this device, and all it takes is you coming to IT to get a new one. So it can take what can seem, and I love this story about what you're able to provide teachers when they're coming back from that winter break. Everyone loves new technology, but your budgets are also going to love new technology if it's done properly and refreshed properly as well. So if you'd like to learn more about Clarity by Diamond Assets One, you can visit the Diamond Assets booth. Clarity is also listed on the Jamf Marketplace, which is where all of our great integrations and consultants go. But if you go and read through that, there is a link to a web page on Diamond Assets website. What we've done is we've created a succinct 12-page document that talks you through all of the extension attributes you'll need to create, how CSV upload works within Jamf, as well as how to get a contact at Diamond Assets that you can ship this information out to as well. We've spent a lot of time working on it. We've worked with schools that are using it successfully and getting more information about that refresh into Jamf Pro so they can do very actionable things with it. And with all of the other reporting available in Jamf Pro, it's not just for the IT admins. It's also for your CIOs. It's for your finance folks to be able to say, this is exactly what we have, and here's exactly when we should sell it. And if you want me to wipe all these machines right now, I can click a button and do that. So bringing together the best of what Diamond Assets provides, along with the inventory information from Jamf Pro, is as well as creating a process around the whole cycle is what we've strived to do.
Yeah, I think the overall system is a great thing, but I also want you to keep in mind that we have great people at Diamond Assets to actually help you walk through this process of understanding the value. So you can get a report back, but if you want to have a conversation, we've got inside people and field people that are there to help you on your journey. So thank you, and we'll turn it back over to Matt.
All right. Thanks, Ryan. Is it on? I'm still waiting. There it is. There it is. Thanks very much. We're really, really excited about Clarity and the partnership with Jamf becoming a solutions partner. And there are how many solutions partners today? Two. So we're really, really excited about being one of those two as well. And Amanda, thank you so much for coming here and telling your story and your experience with Diamond Assets and in the buyback experience in general over the last 3 or 4 years. That was hugely valuable. So a recap, you heard a little bit about Diamond Assets and who we are, how we were founded, and what we see as an opportunity for all organizations who have Apple fleets, and how we can help you. You heard a great story from Amanda, and then you also heard a little bit more about our process across the markets from Charles, and thank you very much. Then, of course, with Clarity as well. If you want to get a copy, I think we have some of these copies at our booth, number 4, and I'm going to throw that up here real quick because there's a good chance you'll have some questions. If you want to come by and see us, we're right next to the coffee down there, so that's a really good location, and right next to Jamf as well as you walk in one of those doors. So I hope you come by, ask questions. We have a great team of business development specialists who focus on all markets, like I said, education, and the enterprise teams as well is here. So happy to answer questions and help give you more clarity as well. We actually have some fun giveaways too, I think. So you have a chance to win an iPad and some other things there too. So hopefully we'll see you there. And we are going to let you get to lunch on time. So I knew we were between you and lunch and not to go over. So with that, thank you so much for being here today and for signing up. For those that are live around the world, thank you for watching as well. And you guys have a great day and a great conference.